What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Nintendo made an interesting move that was discovered yesterday that could actually point to another weird Nintendo product of some kind. Think of Alarmo, because yeah, Nintendo could be getting ready to do something very Nintendo-like, but we'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Sony, who has once again doubled down on moving away from physical media and making sure if you bought a PS5 today that you would absolutely know what they're planning. And we have Microsoft with an announcement and an update for current Xbox owners. But the thing that really caught headlines is what Asha Sharma said that seems to point to, I think, a pretty big move and big upgrade for their achievements, but we'll go over all of that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. Guys, we're every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, going over the world of gaming news, trying to keep you up to date. So just know, even if you don't get a notification, there's probably a video here on YouTube check out, or even a video over on Spotify to check out. You can follow us on either platform there. And we're going to start today with Minecraft on the Switch 2, because, well, the Switch 1 version has been backwards compatible. It's still the Switch 1 version, waiting for that Switch 2 edition. It's now been announced, and we can see this was a page that was updated over on their website with the Switch 2 version coming October 27th. Now, they do mention that it renders the world of Minecraft to lush life with vibrant visuals. That's the default visual experience they have for the Switch 2, so enhanced lighting, shadow effects, and more. Also, the Super Mario Mashup Pack is getting an update to go along with the vibrant visuals graphics, so that's good news there. Now, from what I saw, it looked like at retail, it's a game key card at $30, so there'll be a retail version of the game there. But then they mentioned there's a digital upgrade path available for Switch players, so I don't know if that means you have to spend more money to get the Switch 2 edition if you already have the Switch 1 version. That would be a shame, because this feels like a game that they have a large install size, and I figure they want the least amount of friction possible if you're already playing on the Switch 2 and you want to take advantage of that, because Minecraft players just dump more money into the marketplace anyway. But I guess we'll get more information on that upgrade path as we head towards its October release. Also, we just talked about EA and how they completed their buyout and they went private, and we also sort of mentioned, there'll probably be some cost-saving measures in there, which could lead to layoffs. Well, we can see this is from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, saying the publisher has told debt investors that it will cut $700 million in annual costs, including $170 million in organizational efficiencies, per Bloomberg. In other words, mass layoffs. And yeah, most likely. I mean, look, here's the thing. Right now, when we look at EA and the amount of debt that they have now taken onto their balance sheet, while they were making considerable amounts of revenue, it still pales in comparison to the amount of debt that they've taken on. So yes, they are going to look to cut costs wherever they can to just add more money that way. And because they're private, they could be a bit more agile about it. They won't necessarily make massive announcements about like so many people getting laid off. But eventually you do see people on LinkedIn or social media like, hey, I got laid off at EA, and then it kind of comes together. And then you have outlets do some investigation and find out that, yeah, significant layoffs did follow. So yeah, it seems like they're setting things up with just that message to some of the debt investors. So I guess look out for that. Oh, and it does seem that Ghost Recon Wildlands will be getting a big update today, as they have like an anniversary stream that'll be happening. But we already saw this sort of pop up on different storefronts. I think it was on Xbox, where it looked like it was going to be getting a PS5 and Xbox Series version of the game. Now we have further details in a store listing. This was logged over on Reddit. It looks like we have 4K 60 FPS, 3D audio support, faster SSD load times, haptic trigger and feedback, as well as a new story pack. So this is pretty cool. I mean, it seems like they're just setting things up here to, I don't know, revitalize or even bring people back more interest back to a game that Ubisoft had already put out. And I do think that's a good strategy for these publishers to do these sorts of updates, although it is kind of annoying that they'll still sometimes call it next-gen update, even though we're about to wrap up, year 6 in the PS5 and Xbox Series generation. But I guess that's the marketing term. So look out for this. Should be later on today, I believe, as it seemed like the listing mentioned it was available now. That, of course, following their anniversary presentation. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo making an interesting move that I think is setting them up for another weird project announcement. And I mean, they've done this multiple times now it's kind of what makes Nintendo. You're just hanging out one day, they're like, hey guys, let's fold cardboard and use it with the Switch, and they just show off Labo, and it's just, weird thing that, you try it out, you're like, oh, it's kind of interesting. Not necessarily something I'm going to play constantly, but I don't know, it's something. And here comes Alarmo, and hey, you could use this alarm clock, and it's like, that's weird, but okay, sure. $100 alarm clock that has Mario or Splatoon characters running around that connects to the internet and just randomly updates sometimes. Well, with that in mind, it seems like Nintendo is preparing something else, as we can see. Now, this is over on Reddit, as they noticed that Nintendo filed 4 design registrations with the EU IPO. Now, that is the European Union Intellectual Property Office, so they're getting things like trademarks and copyrights, all these things in order. And the 4 different listings that they noticed here have the same number prefix for the design number, so that probably means one product, but different design patents related to it, okay? So they have to get everything set up here, of course, with regulations, but they decided to defer any of the publication for this until a later date. And we've seen this before. Remember we discussed, I think it ended up being the NSO N64 controller that was originally just a rectangle. Like that was all they showed. It was like a block. And they just needed to at least lay out where the label was going to be on the device. And so that was it. They just drew a shape. And they're like, hey, eventually we'll come back and make this public. And they did, and it was the N64 controller. So here, this seems like them doing something similar, but lining up a product of some kind. And I say a product, it doesn't seem like this would be set up for a new system, for example. I saw some people wondering, is this the Switch 2 Lite? No, I don't believe so. I think you could make the case for, think of Ring Fit. You can make the case for like the Pilates ring, something like that, to go with the new game. So a controller, some kind of new controller, I think it's possible there, but would be more in line with a singular game or concept, like an exercise game, right? Now, you could also have, I was thinking maybe something for mouse mode, because while we have some third-party mouse enclosures and stuff, we don't really have one that's necessarily first party and like really advertised heavily next to the system. And we have seen Nintendo and third parties do more and more when it comes to mouse mode. Like seems to be a pretty consistent feature that is at least advertised. Otherwise, it could be some weird new project. That's the thing. We don't know what Nintendo ever has planned, it seems. I did wonder if it could be a new attachment for the Switch 2. So we've talked a lot about the idea of them approaching the DS for NSO. And in order to do that, you could have a clamshell design where you could have a second screen, or you could have the system go into like a portrait mode, and then you just divide the screen right in the middle, and you'll have 2 screens, of course, one on top of the other. But when you do that, you have to be able to hold the Switch 2 or Switch 1 in some way, and maybe it is some kind of vertical grip that would allow that to happen, and it has a spot maybe for a stylus. But as we sort of talked about before, these are the kind of things that make me think Nintendo does want to be very present at retail, because these are the sorts of things that you'd probably be walking through the store and just randomly see at times. If you were like super plugged in and going like, why is Nintendo making an alarm clock? Or why is Nintendo doing some kind of like amiibo or attachment or whatever, right? You just kind of walk by it at a retail store and go, oh, that's weird, but we'll check it out. What's this Ring Fit Adventure kind of thing? And I think that's how things like the Wii or even the Wii Fit really got moving. It's word of mouth, but also just kind of seeing it at retail. So that's the thing. Nintendo, while they sell a lot of video games, they also sell a lot of just products, right? And this, I think, is going to be another one of those cases. And I think it's something they're probably setting up to announce most likely in a couple of months. I mean, people expect a September Direct even, so maybe that's where they announce this, or who knows, as Nintendo has been doing recently, they just show up to social media like on Twitter, and just one morning it's like, hey guys, here's some cardboard. So who knows, maybe they have something weird like that planned coming out of left field. Next up, let's talk about Sony and their push to an all-digital ecosystem, as they have doubled down multiple times, of course, with investors, and now they seem to have doubled down again, this time for maybe new PlayStation 5 owners, just to make sure because they got to basically put it right in front of your face, and maybe it's for legal reasons, but this was noticed, we can see, by behind the games, and it appears that there is, it looks like a sticker or a label that they are putting on the PS5. Kind of hard to read here, but if we go over on the pushsquare.com, they did do a full transcription here of it, saying, important notice, from January 2028, newly released games on PlayStation will be available for purchase on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital format only. Discs for games released before January 2028 can continue to be played on this console. Look at that. They removed 8K and added this sticker. Now, the 8K thing's been gone for a while. That was pretty funny, them shipping the PS5 box with 8K on it. But now they have this sticker, of course, that is at least trying to make people aware, even though it is fine print. Technically, it says important notice there right at the top. And I saw some people wonder, well, hold on, it's a sticker. Maybe that's just in case they do want to backtrack. To be honest, I think it's because they already had a bunch of these retail boxes made up and they didn't feel like remaking them and just having that as part of the box itself. It's like, oh, we'll just order in some stickers and just slap them on each one as they're leaving the factory. But to me, I'm seeing more of this, guys, and I know there are people who are really hoping that Sony will go, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't do this. I don't think there's anything in the short term that is going to sway them much, because the only thing that would sway them is their bottom line, let's face it, or concern about their bottom line. Could that happen through just people continue to be outspoken and over time they go, wow, this really is not going away? Potentially. But I really don't think that would happen until next year, because GTA 6 is going to be such a massive launch that Call of Duty, Madden, NBA, all these things that are stacking up that are really going to hit the mainstream who I don't think really care that much, majority-wise, I'll say, of the idea of, oh, it's a digital game. And with GTA 6, you have really just, there's no option. You have to buy it digitally. So that is heavily going to sway the numbers. Sony's going to see all this and go, oh no, we're good. It's not going to be until that PS6 starts showing up with that inflated price tag and it just being completely digital that Sony could fall into the trap of, oh wait, wow, that might have been the thing that really put us over the edge here, put us over the cliff, the straw that broke the camel's back. Right now, though, you see these stickers going out. You see how they're talking to investors. I think they are full speed ahead on this thing. But hey, I do still think it's worth voicing your opinion to Sony in the replies or anything like that, just to see if even that public outcry could eventually make them think a little more about it, because I do think there are still some outs for Sony, even if they want to treat the physical release as more of a boutique thing that's like, oh, we'll make these almost collector's editions that cost more, as better than what the current plan is where it's all digital. But yeah, when you see that sticker go out, not looking great for the idea of them backtracking in a meaningful way anytime soon. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft and an update that's been announced for Xbox. Another update, it looked all right, it was fine. The thing that really made a lot of headlines was the follow-up to that and a potential big announcement, big update for Xbox, because it's something people have been asking for a long time now. First, though, let's take a look. This is over on news.xbox.com, and this is an update available for Xbox insiders where they have more control over captures, saves, and wish lists. So the big ones here, you can include chat in your game captures if you're in a voice, like a party, and you guys are kind of chatting back and forth, laughing, having fun, and you want to record some of the footage that's happening. You can also capture what's being said then in your party, and that can lead to some very spontaneous and fun moments. But if you don't want to your voice to be captured, you can opt out of it. So that is also very possible there, but it seems like something that just kind of captures the moment and can be a lot of fun. Now, they also have new ways to view your achievement history. So just different ways you can track, or if you're trying to chase 100% completion, you can just keep an eye on your next big gamer score milestone. Just more control over what you're seeing and what you're tracking there with your achievements, maybe in a certain game. And then also cloud save. So it seems like it's a bit more refined, where you can restore previously sync cloud saves directly from your Xbox console in supported games. And they also let you now add more games to your wish list. But the thing, again, that people are really talking about was this was from Asha Sharma, saying players have been asking for voice chat and captures for a long time. Starting today, it's here. You'll also see more on achievements and wish lists in this latest update. Now, she was asked when you're going to solve the platinum trophy equivalent with achievements. She responded, the team is working on something for later this year. Okay, so, and I know people out there who aren't in achievements or trophies are like, what's the big deal? This has been an ongoing thing for a while, because when you get all the trophies in the game on PlayStation, you do get that little extra, that platinum trophy, and people will talk about how many platinums they have, but On Xbox, kind of go, how many 1,000 out of 1,000 games do you have? That doesn't sound as good as how many platinums do you have. So I do think it's weird that Microsoft, who, really worked to innovate the idea of the achievements in the first place, never really thought to do something like that. And even when they saw PlayStation doing it, they didn't do anything with it. So this is once again I look back on the Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond era. I see Ash Sharma doing stuff that people are asking for like pretty quick. So it's odd that something like this has gone so long where it's been neglected, and now she shows up and all of a sudden all these things are happening, including some kind of platinum trophy equivalent. And that could be really just something that you count along the way that's better than saying 1,000 out of 1,000. Like that would be actually really cool to have. And so I'm hoping we see something with that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. And the idea, again, of trophies and achievements, just kind of keeping you engaged, something fun to have for the community as you go along through what ends up being really a journey or lifetime nowadays with these different accounts for like your gaming history. It's something I wouldn't mind seeing Nintendo do because they are doing that Donkey Kong thing, and I think it's pretty cool with the cards. But even I have to figure, would show up with something that would be kind of an equivalent of a platinum trophy if they went down that road. So it's about time that Microsoft figured that out. Seems like something we'll be hearing about, I guess, according to Ash Sharma, later this year. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about another Gamescom lineup. After we just covered Microsoft yesterday, let's talk about Nintendo here. And this again happening at the end of August. And we can see the lineup. Now, this is over on Nintendo Everything. I had it listed here very nicely for us. We have 007 First Light, and I'm going to be very curious about that, as well as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. Those are two games that I would like to see running on the system, because 007, remember, that got delayed and pushed out from its initial release with the other systems. Seemed like they just needed to spend more time working on it. And then Call of Duty, that's the return for Call of Duty to Nintendo's platform. And we also have EA Sports FC 27, Metaphor ReFantazio, that's coming out here in a few months, so good to see it, I guess, on display here and playable. Minecraft Dungeons 2, that's out in September. Switch Sports Resort, we've seen Switch Sports or Sports multiple times now, but still good to see it there. Orbitals, I'm just ready for that game to come out already. I think it looks awesome, and I think it'll be a really fun co-op game to play through with the family. Pokemon Pocopia with the expansion pass, and then Splatoon Raiders, most likely just kind of advertising it, since many of us, I'm sure, who have a Switch 2 or interested in Splatoon, have already played it, but just a way to kind of get it out there and show people. So the big ones again, 007 First Light and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, at least for me. Looking forward to coverage, I'm sure frame rate and resolution analysis, all that good stuff. But it's interesting to see 007, that, was an awesome game, earlier this year, and actually pushing those systems, the PS5 and the Xbox Series, quite a bit. But then Call of Duty with that return to Nintendo and the Switch too. So it should be pretty fun to check out what Nintendo has in store for us at their booth. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, have you stuck with a game after beating it to collect more trophies or achievements? 80% say yes, 20% say no. Now, some people are like, I have, but it's not a usual thing. If you've done it once, that's the allure, the pull of the platinum trophy or the 100% completion or with achievements. So yeah, it makes sense to have a platinum trophy equivalent on Xbox. And again, I know people go back and forth on this if Nintendo needs it. I don't think they need it because they're successful without it. But it is kind of like that weird elephant in the room thing of like, man, Nintendo is really the only company that doesn't do any achievements with their stuff. And it's not like, I talked about Luna, the streaming service. They have achievements. GOG has achievements. Stadia had achievements. Stadia was here and then it died all that time. It had achievements. Nintendo still didn't get them. So the reason I would like to see Nintendo do achievements is because I think they would kind of do some weird Nintendo thing with it. And I'd like to see more innovation with these achievements or trophies or what have you. And I think Nintendo would at least come up with some interesting wrinkles for that entire sector. So that's the main thing. Otherwise though, yeah, it's fun. Like when trophies start popping or achievements start popping up, you're like, oh yeah, cool, I did earn that. Especially if it's not, at the end of a level or something. You're just randomly in a battle or you do something cool, an achievement pops and you're like, oh, what was that for? You know what? I did take out like 12 enemies with this one weapon in a certain way. I did do that. Cool. I'll add that onto the list of achievements that I've done. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Rez, who says, prices aren't going down, so go retro. The story of my life the last 25 years. Well, ebbs and flows with retro, okay? Because you'd always kind of compare it to like the modern stuff. And we have had some good runs there where like the PS4 was stupid cheap. You know, like with the Black Friday deal with Spider-Man and like the PS4, and it was with a gift card, it was $200. It's hard to look at that and go, man, that's not a good deal, you know? And with retro gaming, it's still pricey, but it got really out of control there in comparison to modern gaming. What was that, like end of 360, PS3, PS4, Xbox One coming in? That's when we started to see the real rise of retro games, and then it was just like going crazy in like 2018, 2019, 2020 especially. And now it's kind of leveling out again because modern gaming, we're sitting here with an $800 Xbox Series X. You know, like some of these games are $100 or more depending on the special editions and stuff. So when you look around and go, oh, you know what, some of those $20 or $30 GameCube games, not looking so bad anymore. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed yesterday's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you want to check out some of the numbers that were getting thrown around by these different companies when it comes to digital versus physical ratios and why gamers aren't necessarily buying into all of that. I did a video on that, and I'll leave it right below. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.